Okay, if Stranger Things was awesome, blink once, and if it sucked ass, blink twice, okay? Can you do that for me? I don't think I'm alone when I say that I binged the shit out of Netflix's latest piece of television gold, Stranger Things. Seriously, I completed the entire series over the span of 2 nights. Worth it. Stranger Things is set in a small town in Indiana in 1983. And even though I spent most of the 80s in diapers and learning English via the Looney Tunes, it did not take away the nostalgia factor from me because I grew up with beloved titles such as The Goonies, E.T., Gremlins, and Teen Witch. Which, by the way, this is just a few of the many titles that this show paid homage to. And as I watched episode after episode at the edge of my seat, or comfy red couch rather, I couldn't help but ask myself, why is this show working so well? Why is this such a word-of-mouth hit? Why is this so, I don't know, fucking brilliant? For starters, bringing it back to my initial point, nostalgia. It was definitely their strongest pull factor, and it worked. I felt like a little kid again, discovering a fantastical horror sci-fi under my favorite blanket in the middle of the night. I mean, the soundtrack itself is like listening to an 80s mixtape, which is all thanks to the eerie John Carpenter-esque synths composed by Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein. It's definitely the kind of music you want to listen to while driving on the highway, especially at night. I take that back. Next is the cast. The cast. It has been a while since I have been floored by a show's talent across the board. But first and foremost, I have to give a slow clap. I just have to Millie Bobby Brown's performance as 11 or Elle, the kid with telekinetic powers. I have no doubt in my mind that this young actress is going to take home an Oscar or an Emmy someday. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if she took an Emmy for this very show. Her instincts for someone her age is rather impressive, especially for a character that expresses themselves with such few words. I mean, you could actually feel her sadness, fear, empathy, curiosity, a desire for friendship, and more. Now, this isn't to say that the rest of the cast wasn't as incredible. Finn Wolfhard as Mike, Gaten Matarazzo as Dustin, Caleb McLaughlin as Lucas, and Noah Schnapp as Will have the kind of bond that reminds me of my own childhood friendships. From their intense game of D&D in Mike's basement to the major obstacles they faced when dealing with a parallel and rather frightening universe, their chemistry was contagious throughout. As for the adult cast, my girl Winona Ryder, no surprise here, knocks it out of the park as Will's mom Joyce, who can also nail the shit out of Christmas lights. No joke, that's actually me during the holidays. And David Harbour truly grounded the series as Chief Hopper. What I found refreshing about characters Jonathan and Nancy, played by Charlie Heaton and Natalia Dyer, is that they were multi-dimensional, which is a rarity when comparing it to your typical teenage roles. And who can forget the lovely gal in the giant 80s glasses? Barb, played by Shannon Purser, just left this amazing impression every time she appeared on screen as Nancy's loyal and responsible best friend. And lastly, I must give a shout out to the boys' beloved science teacher and mentor, Mr. Clark, played by Randall P. Haven. I mean, the dude is the embodiment of Bill Nye, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and my 8th grade science teacher, Mr. Jones. Just watching him on screen, interacting with the boys, filled my heart with warmth because it reminded me of the teachers that made an impact on my life. Cheesy, I know. He is a huge nerd and quite the genius, and unknowingly helps the boys in more ways than one with his scientific advice, so I hope to see a lot more of him in season 2. It is clear that Stranger Things was heavily influenced by Stephen King, Steven Spielberg, and even Stevens. Totally kidding about the last one. Shia LaBeouf had absolutely nothing to do with it. But yeah, the influences of Stephen King and Steven Spielberg make it a no-brainer as to why the show worked so well. Empathy. Something humans could use a lot more of these days. The audience is driven to feel for these characters, because sure, there's a creepy-faced vagina monster, a realm reminiscent of Silent Hill, and mysterious disappearances plaguing the small town of Hawkins, which is pretty fucking horrible, but it is an absolute necessity to see how relationships play out in the face of adversity like this. It's what glues the series together. It's what keeps me watching. Loyalty and trust were definitely major themes throughout, and my favorite part exemplifying this was when Caleb used Dustin to show Elle what a spit swear was. Also, I cannot end this review without mentioning the fact that I was just fucking geekgasming all over the place at the gajillion nerdy references throughout. From the Star Wars references to the Evil Dead poster on the wall. I especially loved the X-Men references ranging from issue 134 to the clear comparisons drawn between Jean Grey's Dark Phoenix and Eleven's struggle to contain her powers. It is just so badass. I mean, I can totally see why these kids relate to the X-Men franchise so much. I mean, first of all, they're outcasts, and second of all, they're outcasts who are now trying to understand these powers that they just cannot grasp. God, this show is so perfect. Thank you, Netflix. I can go on and on and on, but I need to human and eat and pee and stuff. But I decided to keep this spoiler-free for you guys because it's still fairly fresh, and a lot of people are just beginning to watch it or haven't caught up yet. It's 8 episodes long, which I think is fantastic. They could have easily dragged it on, but 8 is just perfect. Tell me what you guys think. Are you watching it? What do you think so far? Have you finished it? What do you think about that? Try not to include spoilers in the comments, guys, please. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and visit aggressivecomix.com for all the latest and greatest in geeky news. And as always, stay